What are bonds? Bonds are essentially loans that investors make to corporations, municipalities, or governments. In return, the issuer agrees to pay interest at regular intervals and repay the principal amount when the bond matures. Bonds are generally less volatile than stocks, and they provide a steady income stream, which is crucial during retirement. But not all bonds are created equal. There are different types, each with its own level of risk and return. Government bonds are issued by national governments and considered low risk. For example, U.S. Treasury bonds are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, making them one of the safest investments around. Municipal bonds, or munis, are issued by local government entities like states and cities. One of their key advantages is that the interest they pay is often tax-free, which can make them attractive for investors in higher tax brackets. Corporate bonds are issued by companies looking to raise capital. Because they carry more risk than government bonds, they generally offer higher interest rates. But their safety depends on the financial health of the underlying company that's issuing them. High-yield bonds, also known as junk bonds, come with even higher returns, but also have higher risks. These are issued by companies with lower credit ratings, meaning there's a greater chance of default. Agency bonds are issued by government-affiliated organizations like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They offer yields higher than government bonds, but with slightly more risk. Inflation-protected bonds, such as Treasury Inflation-Protected Securities or TIPS, adjust their principal value based on inflation, helping investors maintain their purchasing power over time. Now, how do bonds fit into a retirement portfolio? Bonds provide stability and income, which makes them a valuable piece of a retirement portfolio. Their lower volatility compared to stocks helps preserve capital, while the steady interest payments provide a reliable income stream. But while bonds offer stability, relying too heavily on them can limit growth. That's a mistake I've seen many investors make. I once worked with a client who was extremely cautious about market risk. He had shifted all of his investment assets into bonds and didn't want to experience any major market downturns through stocks. And while this made him feel safe in the short term, the lack of exposure to stocks meant his portfolio wasn't growing enough to keep up with inflation. We worked together to rebalance his investments, maintaining a solid bond allocation for stability, but also incorporating equities to generate long-term growth. The result? He was able to preserve his wealth while ensuring his money would continue working for him throughout retirement. The key takeaway here is that balance is everything. Too many bonds can mean missed opportunities for growth. Too few, and you risk unnecessary volatility. The right mix depends on your individual goals, risk tolerance, and income needs. While bonds are generally considered safer than stocks, they carry risks that investors need to manage. Interest rate risk is one of the biggest concerns. When interest rates rise, bond prices typically fall. This can impact the value of your bond holdings, particularly if you need to sell before maturity. Reinvestment risk is another factor. When bonds mature, you'll need to reinvest the principal, but if interest rates have dropped, you may not find new bonds offering the same level of income. Credit risk refers to the possibility that the issuer could default on interest or principal payments. Corporate and high-yield bonds in particular carry more credit risk than government bonds. And then there's inflation risk. If your bond's interest rate is lower than the inflation rate, your purchasing power is eroded over time. That's why it's important to consider inflation-protected bonds or ensure your portfolio has enough exposure to assets that can outpace inflation. One way to manage risk is through diversification, holding a mix of different types of bonds so you're not overly reliant on any one single issuer or sector. Another strategy is bond laddering. This involves purchasing bonds with staggered maturity dates so that some of your investments mature regularly. This provides liquidity, reduces reinvestment risk, and helps ensure a steady income stream. For example, if you build a ladder where your bonds mature every few years, you'll always have a portion of your portfolio maturing at different interest rate environments, allowing you to reinvest strategically. Duration management is another important tool. Duration measures how sensitive a bond's price is to changes in interest rates. Short duration bonds are less affected by rising rates, while longer duration bonds can provide higher yields but are more volatile. Finding the right balance between short, medium, and long duration bonds can help protect your portfolio from unexpected interest rate movements. Bonds play a critical role in retirement planning, offering stability and reliable income, but they need to be managed carefully. The right mix of bonds and equities depends on your unique financial goals, risk tolerance, and income needs. While bonds provide a solid foundation, it's important not to over-rely on them at the expense of long-term growth. At Haywood Wealth, we specialize in creating balanced retirement portfolios tailored to each client's needs. Whether you need help determining the right bond allocation, managing risk, or finding opportunities for growth, we're here to guide you every step of the way. If you're looking to strengthen your retirement investment strategy, schedule a complimentary consultation today. Let's build a plan that keeps your portfolio secure while ensuring your money continues working for you.